We live in a world obsessed with noise. Hustle, grind, prove yourself. But what if I told you the loudest success stories start in silence? While the world scrolls, the future winners are sharpening their minds, rewiring their habits, preparing in secret for their moment. This isn't about doing more, it's about becoming more. They say success leaves clues, but what if the biggest clues are invisible? Not the flashy cars, the loud speeches, or the highlight reels that flood our feeds, but the quiet moments that never make it online. The early mornings before the world wakes, the notes written in secret, the decisions made when no one's watching. These are the silent success habits, the small, almost invisible actions that are shaping tomorrow's champions right now. And the truth? You've probably walked past them 100 times, ignored them, scrolled past them, because they don't look like success. They look ordinary. They look quiet. But inside that quiet, something extraordinary is being built. See, we were raised in the age of noise, taught that if it's not loud, it's not working. We chase visibility instead of value, and in doing so, we overlook the very things that create depth. But the blueprint for tomorrow's success story, it's not written in the language of hustle. It's written in the language of consistency, discipline, and self-alignment. Pause. Imagine this. While one person posts their progress online, another person stays offline, learning, refining, studying, experimenting. One is seen, the other is becoming. And when the results finally appear, the world calls it overnight success. But you and I know it wasn't overnight. It was years of unseen repetition, quiet focus, invisible growth. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat with your thoughts? Really sat. No phone, no music, no distraction, just you in your mind. Because the next generation of high achievers, they're not the ones who can shout the loudest. They're the ones who can listen the longest, to their own intuition, to their inner rhythm, to the whispers of clarity that come only in silence. The invisible blueprint of success starts there, in silence, in observation, in stillness that others mistake for inactivity. But this isn't laziness, it's leverage. It's where deep awareness is born, where ideas mature, and where purpose grows roots strong enough to weather failure. You see, hustle culture tells you, move faster, but wisdom whispers, move clearer. And that's where tomorrow's leaders are being shaped, not in chaos, but in clarity. Here's something no one told you about growth. It doesn't always look like movement. Sometimes the greatest progress happens when you appear still, when you're planning, studying, reflecting, re-strategizing. That's when you're building the invisible muscles of success. Every time you resist distraction, every time you choose discipline over desire, every time you show up when it doesn't feel rewarding, you're engraving the blueprint of your future. It's quiet work, it's lonely work, it's real work. Think of the bamboo tree. For 5 years, it hides beneath the soil. No visible growth. But in the 5th year, it shoots up nearly 90 feet in 6 weeks. Why? Because all that time, it was building roots. It was preparing to sustain what others rush to show. That's you. That's your season. You might feel unseen, unheard, uncelebrated, but maybe you're just in your root building stage. And if you can hold on, if you can water your discipline in silence, your growth will come so fast the world will call it a miracle. But you'll know the truth. You'll know the nights you stayed consistent when no one clapped. You'll know the hours of quiet study that no one posted about. You'll know the invisible blueprint you built with patience and purpose. So here's the challenge for this act. Start noticing your unseen routines. What's one habit, tiny, invisible, that shapes your day? Maybe it's how you begin your morning. Maybe it's how you respond to failure. Maybe it's what you tell yourself before bed. That's your foundation. That's your silent success habit. You don't need a million-view plan. You need one consistent, invisible action repeated daily. Because greatness isn't made in the spotlight. It's designed in the dark, built in the silence, and unveiled when the world is ready, but long after you already were. Remember this, don't just chase what's seen, master what's unseen, because the future belongs to those who prepare quietly and rise loudly when it's time. Every success story you admire is powered by routines you rarely notice. Not the grand morning rituals splashed across social media, the ice baths, the 5 a.m. alarms, but the small, repeatable patterns that quietly shape a mind for excellence. It's not the hour you start your day, it's the intention you carry into it, because a distracted morning births a distracted life. Let me paint you a picture. There's a young designer somewhere, still unknown, still learning. Every night before sleeping, she sketches one new idea. Sometimes it's terrible. Sometimes it clicks. But she does it every night. Not for likes, not for validation, but because she knows repetition rewires reality. 6 months later, her portfolio doubles. A year later, someone discovers her work. 2 years later, people call her gifted. But she wasn't gifted. She was consistent. Her routine was invisible, but her results couldn't stay hidden forever. That's how unseen routines work. They look insignificant today, but they compound, quietly, relentlessly. Success isn't about intensity. It's about consistency. Anyone can sprint for a week. Few can walk the same path for a year, and the world rewards the few. Here's the paradox. You don't rise because of what you do once in a while. You rise because of what you refuse to stop doing. Maybe your unseen routine is reading 10 pages a day. Maybe it's journaling your thoughts for 5 minutes. Maybe it's choosing reflection over reaction. Tiny acts, yes, but they're the architects of transformation. Think about your phone battery. It doesn't die from one big usage. It drains slowly from countless small ones. The same is true for your focus. Distraction doesn't strike all at once. It creeps in through tiny, unnoticed habits. Checking your notifications before finishing your ideas, multitasking instead of mastering. So if distraction is built through micro habits, so is mastery. Let's talk about the 2-minute rule. 2 minutes of deliberate effort, done daily, outweighs 2 hours of forced effort done occasionally. Because momentum doesn't come from the size of your step. It comes from your willingness to take one every day. 2 minutes of stretching can rebuild a body. 2 minutes of reflection can redirect a destiny. 2 minutes of gratitude can heal a restless heart. These are the unseen routines, the quiet builders of identity. There's another secret routine few mention. Intentional solitude. While everyone fills silence with noise, future achievers fill it with awareness. They schedule moments with themselves, not to scroll, but to listen. Because silence is not the absence of sound, it's the presence of clarity. And then there's reflection before reaction. When something goes wrong, average minds complain. Focused minds review. Instead of asking, why me? They ask, what's this teaching me? That small habit, that unseen pause, turns pain into power faster than any motivational quote ever could. If you feel stuck today, it's not because you're broken. It's because your routines aren't aligned with who you're becoming. Examine them. Do they feed your purpose or drain it? Do they move you closer to peace or further from it? Because your routines either design your destiny or dissolve it. Quietly, invisibly, every single day. Remember, big dreams die in the absence of small systems. Your unseen routines are those systems. They're the invisible scaffolds holding your future together. So don't underestimate that simple act you repeat when no one's watching. Don't dismiss the habit that looks too small to matter. That's where mastery hides. Tonight, when the world scrolls itself to sleep, do one small thing your future self will thank you for. Write one sentence. Read one page. Think one new thought, and do it again tomorrow. Because those tiny invisible choices, they're how ordinary people quietly become exceptional. We've been taught that movement means progress, that if you're not running, you're falling behind. But what if I told you the strongest people in the next decade won't be the ones who never stop? They'll be the ones who know when to stop. Because in a world that glorifies exhaustion, rest has become a rebellion. And the future belongs to the rebels who learn the discipline of intentional non-doing. Picture this: a young entrepreneur, laptop glowing past midnight. He's pushing through emails, chasing deadlines, thinking he's building momentum, but his mind is scattered, his creativity thin. So he does something rare. He closes the screen, walks outside, and lets silence finish the work his stress could not. An hour later, the idea comes. Simple, clear, brilliant. Not from grinding, but from grounding. That's the paradox of greatness. It's not built in constant motion, it's built in conscious rhythm. True performers understand the science of strategic pauses. Athletes call it recovery. Musicians call it rest between notes. Writers call it incubation. Whatever you call it, it's where renewal happens. Think about it. A seed doesn't grow while you dig at it. It grows in stillness, under the soil. Your mind works the same way. You plant ideas through effort, but they sprout through rest. The next generation of achievers won't just ask, how hard can I work? They'll ask, how clearly can I think? Because clarity beats chaos, and silence sharpens clarity. Here's a truth hidden beneath all the noise. Deep work requires deep rest. Your brain isn't a machine, it's a garden. Overwater it with tasks and creativity drowns. Give it space and ideas bloom. That's why some of the most revolutionary thoughts appear when you're showering, walking, or staring at the sky. That's your subconscious connecting dots you didn't even know existed. So learn to step back. Don't mistake stillness for stagnation. The caterpillar looks motionless right before transformation. When you pause with intention, when you disconnect to reconnect, you aren't quitting, you're calibrating. Let's talk about digital silence. Every beep, buzz, and scroll taxes your attention. Constant input kills original thought. So the future belongs to those who protect their focus like treasure. Try this: 1 hour a day with no devices, no background noise, no scrolling. At first, your mind will panic, like a muscle unused to freedom. Then it will breathe, and in that breath, insight will return. There's also something called deep work recovery. It's not just sleeping longer, it's recharging with purpose. It's meditating, journaling, stretching, walking, letting your creative system reboot. Because burnout isn't proof of ambition, it's evidence of imbalance. Tomorrow's leaders will measure success not by how much they did, but by how wisely they restored. So here's your reflection for this act. Where in your life do you need to pause? Where are you confusing motion with meaning? Maybe your next breakthrough isn't on the other side of more effort. Maybe it's on the other side of silence. Take that walk. Close that tab. Let your mind breathe. Because rest isn't the opposite of work. It's the partner of mastery. Remember, you can't pour brilliance from an empty soul. You can't build a legacy with a drained heart. So rest, deliberately, consciously, unapologetically. Let stillness sharpen your spirit, because beyond the grind lies the clarity that changes everything. There comes a moment when you realize that habits shape outcomes, but mindsets shape destinies. Your outer routine is a reflection of your inner rhythm, and the ones designing the future? They aren't just doing differently, they're thinking differently. Let's start with a mindset called pre-mortem planning. Most people imagine success. Few imagine the failure that might block it. High performers rehearse the roadblocks before they arrive. They ask, what could go wrong? Where could I lose focus? Who could I become if I stopped paying attention? They picture the pitfalls, then quietly build bridges across them. That's not pessimism, that's preparation. Because every storm feels smaller when you've already practiced the rain. You can do this today. Picture your goal. Now picture everything that could derail it. Distraction, fear, comfort. Write them down. Then build tiny counter habits for each one. That single mental exercise turns uncertainty into confidence. Next comes learning in public. The future doesn't reward perfection. It rewards progress shared. The old mindset said, hide until you're ready. The new mindset says, show while you grow. Somewhere a student is posting their unfinished animation, their rough song, their messy sketch. Not for applause, but to invite feedback, to stay accountable, to learn faster. They're not waiting for mastery to begin. They're mastering through motion. Learning in public dissolves fear, because once you share your imperfect steps, failure loses its power to shame you. It becomes data, direction, proof that you're alive and evolving. Remember this, the people you admire aren't fearless. They're just practiced at failing forward, in plain sight. There's another mindset, ancient yet timeless. Negative visualization. It sounds strange, imagining loss to deepen gratitude. But think about it. When you picture losing what you love, you awaken appreciation for what you still have. Gratitude isn't weakness, it's fuel. It keeps ambition from turning toxic. It reminds you that success without peace is still failure. So every morning, before you chase more, pause and name 3 things you'd miss if they were gone. That 5-second ritual rewires your drive from scarcity to strength. Now weave these mindsets together. Pre-mortem planning guards your path. Learning in public accelerates your growth. Negative visualization grounds your heart. Together, they create a mindset ecosystem. Strong, balanced, unshakable. Think about your future self, not a fantasy version of you. The real one being built by your current thoughts. What are you teaching them today? Patience or panic? Clarity or confusion? Every decision sends a message forward in time. When you skip discipline, your future self pays the bill. When you show up with courage, your future self collects the interest. So cultivate that future version of you deliberately. Write to them. Plan with them in mind. Ask, what would the wiser me choose right now? That single question can redirect an entire destiny. You are not just surviving your present, you are sculpting your tomorrow. Your mindset is the chisel, your habits are the hammer, and every quiet, conscious thought is carving the masterpiece only you can reveal. Every ripple starts small. A drop hits the surface, barely noticed, but the rings widen, touching shores it never meant to reach. That's how transformation works, not through grand gestures, but through the quiet repetition of simple choices. A message sent, a page read, a promise kept. The smallest act, done consistently, becomes the loudest revolution. The truth is, you don't need to change your life overnight. You just need to change your next 5 minutes and repeat that miracle again tomorrow. Because small is sustainable. Small is honest. Small is where momentum hides. We often underestimate the compound interest of effort. A single good habit done daily is a seed that multiplies. Miss one day, nothing changes. Miss a month, you lose traction. But stay faithful for a year, and you'll wake up in a different story entirely. James Clear once wrote, "You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And your systems are built from micro habits. The way you greet your morning, the way you handle boredom, the way you speak to yourself when nobody hears. Those invisible decisions are the architecture of your destiny. So here's the truth most people ignore. Your dream doesn't fail because it's impossible. It fails because it's inconsistent. Dreams die quietly in the gaps between your good intentions. But if you close those gaps, one tiny action at a time, you become unstoppable. You don't need 10 times effort. You need 1% better every day. The math is simple. 1.01 raised to the 365th power equals 37.78. That's 37 times stronger in 1 year. all from 1% more faith, more focus, more follow-through. That's the ripple effect. You sharpen your mind, someone else gets inspired. You stay kind in conflict, someone else learns patience. You chase your vision, someone else finds courage. You don't just grow alone, you create a wake of transformation that spreads far beyond your sight. Pause here and imagine. Your younger self watching who you are today. Would they feel proud? Would they see progress, even in the imperfection? Now imagine your older self, the wiser, calmer, fulfilled version of you. They're watching too. They're whispering, keep going. You're closer than you think. That's who you're fighting for. Not fame, not applause, but the peace of becoming who you were meant to be. Because pressure doesn't destroy diamonds, it defines them. Every challenge you've endured was shaping your resilience, polishing your vision, teaching you that power hides in persistence. You are the artist of your evolution. Your routine is your paintbrush, your discipline, the color, and your days the canvas. So make every stroke deliberate, make every hour sacred, and when doubt comes, as it always will, remember, the ripple you start today may be the wave that carries someone else tomorrow. This is your moment, not next year, not when you feel ready. Now, because the smallest shift, made with intention, can change the course of your entire life. Be patient, be consistent, and let your quiet efforts speak louder than your fear.